Welcome to the Amplifying Your Wellness podcast with Tara and Barb, a place where we discuss your self-care and wellness through guest stories, information, and tips on how to live healthier and happier lives. We are Twin Life Coaching and Business Services with your host, myself, Tara Lehman, and my business partner and, of course, best friend and sister, Barb Schutz. We care about increasing awareness around self-care and mental health through this podcast, coaching, consulting, and more. To find out more about our services and our community, please visit us at twinlifecoaching.ca. As a reminder, this podcast is for sharing of stories and information only and is not intended to be or replace any medical or other advice you are seeking or have received.
So today we are welcoming Debbie Dobbins, who is a globally acclaimed international prosperity consciousness speaker, teacher, and the author of Your Inner Billionaire. Welcome to the show, Debbie.
I am so excited to be here. And you're talking about my top, well, actually, both of them are wealth and health. So they go to hand in hand. They are two sides of the same coin. So I am so excited to jump into this conversation.
Oh, excellent.
Awesome.
Well, we might as well start with that. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why health and wealth and self-care is important to you?
Well, the book has all these kind of stories about my trauma and drama all lands in our body, which is the essence of our health. And part of that is I was actually addicted to drugs at one point in my life, which that in and of itself would say, well, she doesn't really care about her health. And that's not true. That's another modality that people fall into. I believe that we're all addicted on the planet to something. And mine just happened to be something that was really easy to point to. We're all addicted to things that take us out of being conscious of our lives. So something as simple as social media is an addiction. And literally, the more that I have gone through addiction recovery and understanding health, I used to be a health coach years ago. Like my life is a little incongruent sometimes, but the fact is that looking at your whole life as holistic, and health is one of the cornerstones, if you will, the foundation, because I can teach people about abundance. I can teach them about building wealth, but if they're ignoring their health, it really doesn't matter. And I know many people who are very wealthy who don't take care of themselves, and it's not a happy life. It's not joyful. And we have so many sick people in our world right now. I find it really fascinating that to get at the core of, do I want to take care of this beautiful body that I walk around in the world in, is so, so important. And since I teach women mostly, but still men, we are in this big hustle all the time. We're in a world that's go, 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 go. We are on stress, threat level 5, 10, 12, whatever, constantly. And all of those things contribute to this physical engine that we walk around in, and we don't pay attention to it. So I really speak to women, particularly about self-care. And self-care is not just about going to the spa or, getting a mani-pedi, all of that. Those are nice, but to really find that rest and repose, give yourself an opportunity to go out into nature, to move your body, to do all these beautiful things that we are not allowing ourselves the time, because either you don't have enough money or you don't have enough time. And both of those are lies. Those are just choices. So I really, really promote self-care, but more from the perspective of giving ourselves that time. I just finished my next book called Time Bender. And it's about really paying attention to how we are using time. We all get the same 24 hours a day. How are we using that to promote this sustainability and the vitality of this beautiful body that we walk around in? So I am a huge advocate for that. And as I said, I finished this book, Time Bender, because that is one of the key parts of it, is to just allow yourself that space to recharge. So self-care, big thing for me.
Yes, excellent. So it's interesting because this morning for leaders and business owners, I was doing a time and energy management webinar today. And the first thing I do is kibosh the myth that you can magically have more time, because you can't. It doesn't exist. You can't wish it.
It doesn't.
There's no genie.
But you can but you can create that time in a much more, and I hate efficiency products and things like that. It's like, oh, you'll be more efficient. What we want to do is begin to see how we are using, because time is just energy, as is money. Money is one of those things. It's just energy. So how are you utilizing that energy? Just like somebody were to give you $100 each day, how would you use that to the best of your ability? And I think that's one of the big lies that's out there, especially in business, because people feel like they have to hustle, they have to push, they have to drive. And that there's nothing wrong with being having an intention and moving forward towards it with real intention. But if you just do it so that you're burning yourself out, so that you're stressed 24/7, that does not, I mean, our nervous systems, I talk about that with money as well. Our money stories are in our body. So our body is so important. And I used to teach wealth principles about a mindset, forgetting that this body, that is the most important thing in our whole lives, is our body. We don't take care of it. We don't learn how it works, what it needs, how to give it. We would do that with a plant, right? You would water it, you would feed it, you would give it sunlight. We don't do that for ourselves.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
We're going to run, we're going to pour a sugar in our gasoline tank. Nobody says they would do that. This is what we do with our bodies. So I think it's so important to really just look at nature. I mean, it's the best teacher there is out there, to really pay attention to. We have been told a lie that you have to do it this way, when the reality is there are so many other ways. And I'm not saying that I have the end all be all way, but begin to look at other opportunities and avenues of how you can spend this beautiful, valuable time that we've all been given in the same increment. How can I support me so that I can create more, so that I can produce more, so that I can have the life that I say that I dream of?
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. Now I want to come back to our topic, because we want to hold on to that thought that you have there with our self-care. It's money. Money is a massive topic. It's stressful in the businesses out there. It's stressful at home out there. And from what we understand, you've been through some massive highs and lows with, regards to money loss, rebuilt, all those types of things. And so that personal journey for you, I imagine some other people probably have some of those ups and downs as well. How did your personal journey shape who you are today when it comes to money? Like, how can we learn from your journey for our audience out there on how we can improve our wealth health, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I've been teaching wealth and abundance for basically 30 years. And and as I said, I used to teach it from the mindset perspective. There was a conversation that I would always have: change your thinking, change your life. And literally that is a component of it. In the past, well, since I was diagnosed, because I recovered from being diagnosed with cancer, it's almost 10 years now. And it was so clear to me that my body was playing a role in all of this. And I wasn't aware of it until I literally started studying that our emotions are downloaded into our physical body, because we don't realize that this mind, the mindset, is a little AI. And I love AI right now because I think it's such a great example of how we are. And they don't call it artificial intelligence because we think we're very intelligent, but our body is downloaded with all of the memories and the chemical reactions to emotions. So one of the things I believe, that we're all here for a purpose. We all came in to go through whatever we're going through in order to grow or to not. And for whatever reason, I've always had this feeling inside of me that I need to go through these experiences. Literally, we create our own experience, that I needed to go through these experiences so that I could teach other people that you too can go through these experiences and come out on the other side whole. So I've had a really up and down experience in my life. And at the same time, where I am right now is so much about incorporating the emotions that are creating the experience that I'm having in my outside world. And so when I find myself, and it's just another form of addiction, we are all addicted to the emotions that we've downloaded into our body over these years. So if we begin to say, okay, if I'm addicted to these emotions and I don't want to have this experience, what do I need to do? I need to have a new emotion. And it seems simple, but when people get into doing it, they get stuck because they say these things that I find very fascinating that, well, I'm being tested. God's testing me. The devil's testing me. Somebody's testing me. I'm like, no, nobody's testing you. There isn't a tester out there. What it is your resistance to changing because your body is addicted to an emotional reaction or a feeling. So I'm going to give an example. I was addicted to being so upset when I would have a technology, what do I want to say, bottleneck. Like technology, I'm 70 years old. I should be sitting on a porch in a rocker somewhere, but that's never going to happen because I got to go. But the thing is that sometimes I think I know more technology than a 70-year-old person really should. And yet I get to this point where it's very frustrating for me. And I would get so upset. Literally, I could feel my whole body locking up until one day I said, you teach this. What is going on here? And I said, oh my gosh, I'm addicted to that feeling of not enoughness, that I can't figure this out, that I'm not going to be able to make this work, that somehow I will be a failure. Those are just feelings. Those aren't ideas. Those are actually feelings in my body. And so I said, well, how do you want to feel? Well, I want to feel peaceful and know, like everything else in my life, that it's working out in my favor and it will be great. And it's not something that happens overnight. When you're fighting against an addiction of any kind, especially one that's in your body that says, I want to feel this way, even though we say we don't. Why do we keep put ourselves in a position where we will feel that way? Because that's really our normal. That's our baseline. So now when I go into an experience that I know is going to be possibly frustrating, or I'm not going to get where I need to go in that time frame, I say, okay, you're going to spend 5 minutes on this and then you're going to walk away. You're going to spend 5 minutes and then you're going to walk away. But we can do this with anything in our lives. If you think about it, how many of us have experiences with relationships? We go to work and there's that person at work that as soon as we see them, we go into that negative energy, right? So it's all of that feeling that we have control over, although we have subjugated our control to something else, saying things like, they make me feel that way. And that's probably one of my pet peeves, is when people say, you make me feel a certain way. I am not in charge of anybody's feelings but my own.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will acknowledge that there might be something that I'm triggering in another human being, but I will never accept responsibility for making somebody feel a way, because we all have these stored feelings and what we often call triggers, that somebody's pushing our trigger button. And then we want to point the finger at them. So just really understanding that, and those triggers are the stress responses to any experience that we have. So if we begin to say and be conscious of all of those feelings and all of those triggers and own them and say, what would I like to feel instead? And you feel that way, it's going to be magical. I'm telling you, it is a whole release of all of the anxiety that we keep putting on ourselves.
And I talk a lot about the predictive brain with some of my clients, because the predictive brain is almost like what you're talking about. Our brain learns from what's happened in the past. So now we always believe that, that person's going to make us frustrated. So the day we walk in, our predictive brain tells us we need to be frustrated because that person's there. When really, that's just us, like you said, it's creating our own emotions that may mean zero. Why are we frustrated is the question, right?
Yes, it is. And that is where the responsibility comes in. So my podcast is called Radical Responsibility Revolution, because we have to, as a world, as a planet, take responsibility for all of our thoughts, feelings, actions, and words. So if we don't do that, then we are not in control, if you will. There's no control of anything, but we're not in charge of our own experience. And I love the language. I love the Bible for a very spiritual metaphor for some people. And frankly, all teachings have the same similar common thread. But in the Bible, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So if you take that as, oh, okay, words, they use, oh, I forget the lathos, I forget the Greek or the Latin word, but the word is everything. It's the way you think. It is your consciousness. It is the way you act and move. It is your emotions, and it is your actual words. But think about that. That's God. That's our consciousness. So if we say everything that we think, do, feel, and say is a prayer, because we are then activating this consciousness that we live in, we're activating it with all of that, the word, we are creating our own experience. Nobody is coming at us. Nobody is making us do anything. Nobody is responsible for our experience. We are in charge of that. So that's why I think it's so beautiful from a health perspective and from a wealth perspective. We get to have the experience that we choose, and we are having the experience that we choose, whether we're doing it consciously or subconsciously. That reactive brain that you're talking about, because that came from we trained our AI. This is what I love about AI. It's just trained. We've trained our AI from our emotional body. So when we're little, we have emotional reactions to something, whatever it is. Let's say that the electric man always came at the certain time of a month because your parents didn't have enough money to pay your bills. And this is where I go back to my money stories. The electric man comes. So, as a little kid, you're 7 years old and you see the man in the uniform and he's coming up to the door, and the parents are going to start freaking out and fighting, and your siblings are crying in the corner because of all the chaos that's going on in the house. So you begin to download in your emotional body, not in this one, because this then triggers up here. You train yourself. This is a bad experience. Money's not good. Money is not safe. There isn't enough. So all of those conversations, and this is with everything in our life, but money is just an easy one to pinpoint. So it's all downloaded into our emotional body. Then we take all these chemicals in our body and these synapses, and we train this little brain up here, because it's just an AI. It just does what we've trained it to do. So then it reacts, as you said, it reacts every single time exactly the same way until we say, I'm going to reprogram the feelings, the emotions in this body, because the body is the ruler. The brain is not. This is the other thing that I find so fascinating is we think the brain is in charge. It's actually the body, and the body knows everything. So, but when we abuse our body, when we don't allow it to, we don't allow support by giving it nutrition and by moving it and by relieving ourselves of stress, all of those things, when we don't take care of this beautiful vessel, then everything gets out of whack. So it's such a beautiful dynamic. And if you think about it, it's the masculine is the mind, the feminine is the body, and they are, in yin and yang, they're supposed to be balanced, right? That's what I teach, is it's about balancing your feminine, your masculine energy, and just living this beautiful, harmonious life. Most people are out of balance in some way or another.
So would that be why sometimes it's holding people back? Like some of the people that maybe you're supporting share stories, say their money stories. And is that some of the things that you would consider as what actually is holding them back?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I break it down in the book as the first chapter is we go investigate. And I love curiosity, because I think that's the thing we're missing in the world is everybody's got their beliefs and their opinions, and then they go to their corners and they say, this is how the world works. And I'm like, okay, be curious. Curiosity is one of the most fabulous things that we can do for ourselves and for the entire planet, is just be curious. And so the first thing we do in the book is become curious about your money story, because it's really easy to see that money story once you start being aware. You notice how you behave around money. Money is got money, the energy around money. People have an emotion around that. So I walk people through processes of close your eyes. What does it feel like? If it's in a meeting where people are really in lack and not having enough, what does that feel like? What does it feel like when you know that the electricity is going to be shut off? Or what does it feel like when you get fired from your job? What does it feel like when your spouse has taken off with all of your money? There are feelings around that. That's not you can't think your way out of those experiences. You have to begin to see that those stories are repeated patterns but they're all located in the body. And we wrote the story. So the good news is we can write another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that because we have a choice every single day, and we can go left or we can go right, we can go straight. Assuming straight is the normal path we're currently on, right? So if we go right or left, we're able to change our future and tell our predictive brain and the fear of missing out and all those other things to go away and take a different direction, right? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love playing with my synapses, right? Because we are such habitual, because we're little AIs. We literally are these little AIs walking around and not being conscious and being aware of what we're doing. And so something as simple as tying your shoes, we all do it, but we never, very seldom do we sit there and tie our shoes and think, wow, I really know how to, we do it so automatically. Like I can tie my shoe.
Yeah.
How do I know how to do that? It's programmed in our brain. But you think about all of our behaviors every single day from the time we get up in the morning, what we're thinking. Even I teach when you wake up in the morning, you have to begin to change your pattern if you want to change your day. So having a thought, most people get up and the first thing they do is they grab their phone, right? Or get a screen, right? And the fact is that I always teach create before you consume. So what does create look like? It could be meditation. It could be taking a walk in a park. It could be talking to your kids, right? To give us those moments of connection, because then we start consuming all day. We consume everything. We consume conversations at our employment. We consume things off of our screen. We consume things off of the television, the newspaper. I mean, information is bombarding us constantly. And we don't take a moment to just really settle in and say, what's really important to me? How do I want to set an intention for my day? So one of my intentions is that everything is working in my favor. So I have a little 5-minute MP3 that I created, and I do it for myself. But it's a reminder for 5 minutes that everything is going to be happening in my favor, number one. But number two, then I just make this declaration. Okay, universe, God, whoever's up, I think we limit the bigness of God by giving it a word, but whoever's this is in charge, I said, surprise me today. Because we don't go out in our lives anymore expecting to be surprised. We just do the same thing over and over. We go the same way to work. We drive the same car. We look at the gas tank the same way. We have the same whatever's playing on our Spotify or whatever. We get to wherever we're going. If it's an office, it's a outdoor business. We do the same thing over and over. And what that does is that creates a rut. It creates a comfort zone, and we have to begin to get out of there. Who was it? Robin Sharma wrote a book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. It's a great book, but he said at a group event that I was at one time, he was speaking, and he said, do something every single day that scares you, because we need to break up our pattern. If we don't break it up, then the AI will just keep operating, because that's its job. It's there to operate the way we've trained it and to keep us safe. And safety is not the comfort zone. I mean, the safety is the comfort zone, and safety in the comfort zone will never allow us to grow. So in order for us to grow, in order for us to have this beautiful body thrive, in order for us to see and expect more good, which we call money or wealth, I just say it's good because it comes in all kinds of forms, but we define how everything needs to look. I need to have this much money in order to get this thing. No, you don't. You just have to vision whatever that thing is, and then let what I call the universe conspire to create it for you, because I'm not that smart. I'm pretty smart, but I don't have the ability to put all the puzzle pieces together. And I've seen it over and over and over where things surprise me that I think I would have never, if I wanted that thing and I visioned for it, I would have never put it together like that. Literally, I would never have done that. But that's because I surrender and I trust and I have faith and all of those beautiful qualities that are in every spiritual tradition. because I'm not religious, I'm just spiritual. And I believe that our spirituality is the core of who we are. And our spirituality is going to lead us to wanting to take care of our body, to knowing that we can be, do, or have whatever we want. It's just, it's beautiful. And quantum physics backs it up. So I'm a spiritual science. I call myself a spiritual scientist. I'm always researching what's going on.
I wanted to swing back because you were talking about the, our everyday repetition of our everyday, and that it kind of puts us in a rut. Is there any time when it creates abundance for us?
I would say that I want to distinguish between repetition and consistency.
Okay.
Because whatever we do over and over and over. So, I've been on the planet for 70 years and I'm not a very consistent person, because I call that spontaneity, whether it's true or not. That's, a debate for somebody else. And there are plenty of people that are my age that have been doing the same habits over and over and over, and they do not serve them. So I think one of the most important things is to really decide what is working for you, what is serving you, and what is not. I do say that if you want to have a different life, which is what people desire when they want more money, is that you have to change everything that you're doing, because whatever you're doing up until now has created this. And the definition of insanity is if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, it's not going to happen. So we literally have to rewire everything. We have to rewire our body. We have to rewire our brain, which they work in tandem to one another. But being consistent with reminding and remembering for ourselves what things actually create. What creates is our body through our emotions, that then translates into training the AI, and that, honest to goodness, the things, the prevailing qualities are oneness, love, connection, communication. So everybody can practice those, but nobody says we have to practice them a specific way. As long as you're embodying those values and those qualities, you won't ever go wrong. So consistency in certain areas and moving forward and reminding yourself, am I still doing that? Because it may look different today than it will tomorrow to do a certain behavior. But when we look back on our lives and say, I've been doing this for 50 years, whatever it happens to be, having a thought that, people that wear pink are feminine, and I don't like that. Like, I'm just randomly pulling stuff up. We get these ideas and then we perpetuate them, and then we lock them in as if they are truth. When the reality is, the truth is whatever we decide it is. And I say everybody needs to challenge all of their beliefs, be curious all of the time. And sometimes, I might have a belief that is serving me because I've been doing it for a long time, because I learned it to do it differently. Or I could be doing something my whole life that I'm not even aware that I'm doing. Curiosity is a really key ingredient to opening up everything that is possible for us and learning. I'm a lifelong learner. I absorb things like a sponge. And I'm not talking about, scrolling through social media. I'm not looking to learn from an influencer. Right. I'm talking about deep history, like philosophy and psychology, and what happened from a historical perspective of everything that I believe in. Literally, why do I believe that way? I recently went on a road trip across the country and went to places like Memphis and Chattanooga, and just I don't know the history of those particular cities. I sort of knew the story of the Trail of Tears, but there I was right in the midst of it. And so I think travel is a really good thing for people. And I've been doing that my whole life and have been blessed to be shipped off to places to train. So I got to fly for free. But you can do it in your own neighborhood. I do it in this little tiny town that I live in. I've just dived into the history of this little tiny North Texas community, because I believe that when we learn where people come from and why they believe the way that they think, that we find some common ground to have that communication, which is so key to learning even more. So I recommend travel and communication and education, and not, formal education. Just go look up a book or
Yeah,
You
go
know,
learn.
go learn. There's so
I
much.
I would love to wrap up today. If you could give us that one piece of advice for maybe somebody who is in the comfort zone and they're a little bit fearful of coming out of it. What is the first thing that they should start to do? I don't want to overwhelm the audience. I want to give them that little
Yeah.
tidbit to help them come out of the comfort zone. What would you say that is?
So I'm going to use Robin Sharma's advice to me or advice to the group is do something that scares you. It doesn't have to be frightening like jumping out of an airplane scaring, but just something that feels uncomfortable for you every single day. You're going to build that muscle of confidence. That's number one. Number two is find your own optimism, because optimism can get a bad rap too. People have told me I have Pollyanna glasses and all of that. I'm like, okay, you don't see me when I'm not having a good day. But the fact is that we have to practice that optimism more, and that is including expectation that good is coming your way. Because even if you just shift your mind or your heart into, I know that good is coming my way. I don't even know what it's going to look like, but the key here is to expect it and look for it, not just to make an affirmation, but then to actually go out. Your reticular vision will show it to you, which is a fabulous thing. And then third of all, I would say go to my website and get my book for free, because it's a portal to magic. And my website is thedebbiedobbins.com. So
Perfect. I was actually just going to ask, how would our listeners find out more about you? Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
They can get the book for free on my website. And so literally, I think my dream is to have my book be read every year, like Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's book, because it is about mindset, and it is a mindset. I don't want to diminish it in any way, but also because of our new understanding scientifically, et cetera, and vibrations and energy and all of that. It is contained in the body, and it has so much importance for us, and it's free, so why not?
Why not?
I mean, well, I mean, it's going to be a PDF version of it. They can actually get my autographed one if they pay for the shipping. But I don't want anybody to have a barrier to getting on this path and to creating a portal for themselves to be as wealthy as they choose. So when I came up with the title, it's not to have $1 billion in the bank. It's to have $1 billion in your heart. And that is the billions of abundance, from money to health, to relationships, to everything, because abundance is our whole life. And when we begin to say, I deserve all of the good that I can receive, then life just supports us that way.
It's a great metaphor. I love it.
And just so everybody knows how to spell Dobbins, it's Dobbins. Thank you so much for joining us today, Debbie. I'm sure our audience is appreciating some of your insight.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you, of course, to all of our listeners for joining us today. We hope you were able to take some great information or key points from Debbie today that can help you on your self-care journey. If you are looking for some development or want to achieve some goals, feel free to reach out to us to see how coaching can help. To learn more about our services, please visit us at twinlifecoaching.ca. Until next time, remember, you've got this.